Ladies and gentlemen, dogs and fleas, pull up a chair and sit on your knees, for we've a story to tell you we're still learning about. Welcome to Talk the Walk. I am Henry Moses.
And I'm Gabriel Moses, and we are super happy to be here with you, and thank you for joining us wherever you may be.
Yes, thank you very much. Gabe, I'm super happy to see you today.
Yeah.
How's your week so far?
It's good.
Yeah?
I'm having a good week.
Yeah?
Having a good week.
Soupy good? Good? Like what level are we talking about?
It's pretty good. Soupy good is pretty stellar good.
Soupy good is stellar good.
So I'm not gonna. There's challenges and stuff. Work is getting a little looser, thank goodness. And then the renovation on the house is getting that's soupy close.
That
being
is
done.
soupy close.
It's soupy close to being done. We're like 98%.
It's looking good. So your house had it's awesome. His house is really cool. But it was, when was it built?
Like 70 something.
So it had the pink and blue toilets.
Yep. Pink and blue toilets in my house.
I think, did it have pink and blue faucet, or not faucets, but sinks and things of that nature?
The sinks, the tile was peach, blue, that baby bluish kind of.
Which is actually, I noticed whenever I was over there yesterday, and I walked in the garage to grab a big red instead. That's what I say. That's our motto, our family motto, big red instead. But I walked into the garage to grab one, and I saw
a bunch of toilets.
The pink and the blue toilets out there. Y'all going to sell those,
We
right?
are going to sell them. There are people who apparently will pay for these ugly, gnarly blue.
They'll pay some. I
think
think we looked it up. Was it like 500 or something like that? Even more than that.
Possibly.
So that is what y'all are gonna. Are y'all gonna list them on eBay?
Well, we've got a friend who she's in with the crowd that tends to like that type of. Okay. Is eclectic the word? Geriatric, is that the word?
Disco
would be the word you use. I mean, there's a group of people that like that type, and she's in with those types, and she knows decorators and all that stuff, and they may want it. So we've checked in with her first, but then eBay.
See, I'm from the 70s, but I'm not of the 70s.
Praise the Lord.
Kind of like we're in the world, but not of the world. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeesh. 70s. I think the 70s are.
That was, to me, I'm like, I can get with the 50s.
Yeah.
Even maybe a little bit of the 60s. And I'm like, and let's just move on to the 80s.
I don't know about the 60s. The 60s, to me, it goes.
Is that too close to the 70s?
Yeah, it's too close.
So
like, that was the
grip.
Free love movement and all the, everybody getting high, and that kind of carried over into the 70s.
Yeah.
And,
it set the tone for the 70s.
The 80s, instead of doing acid, we just wore acid wash jeans.
Yeah, see.
So that's all right.
Don't say we.
Tight rolled them and did I guarantee you had them. I think you came home and acid washed baby overalls.
I don't even believe that.
Yeah,
you just make it up because I wasn't conscious.
I mean, you can't argue with it. You don't know.
I'm pretty sure Mom wouldn't do that to me.
Oh, yeah. You had that. You had a little tinfoil hat on. It's great.
Mom loved me too much.
Yeah. Yeah, but we were poor. So, you just had to take what you get, which means you're probably wearing corduroy bell-bottom baby outfit.
That makes more sense. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I was.
I
was like, yeah.
I remember I got corduroy bell-bottoms when I was... what grade? I think I was in 4th grade or something like that. And I thought, and it was hand-me-downs from somebody at church. Mm-hmm. And I thought, what in the world is
Did you
happening?
like them, or did you?
Heck, no, I didn't like them.
I didn't like corduroy ever.
Right.
And I'm like,
and then you put bell-bottoms on them.
Even worse.
Oh my God.
But to me, I was like, why?
And I had to go to school in those things. It was Christian school, thankfully, but
why would you make me wear these when you could let me wear blue jeans?
Yes, because they were free.
That's my position to this day. I've got blue jeans. Now, for work, I wear something different, but keep me blue jeans. I'm not wearing corduroy.
Like we're
Do they still sell corduroy at the store?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can find corduroy?
Yeah, there's some stuff.
It's probably popular.
Corduroy jackets, I think. I actually think those are kind of cool.
Yeah, I like
had
that.
a hat that was corduroy.
Yeah, that's too much corduroy.
Yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, the bell bottoms.
The jacket, I'm down with.
Jackets are cool.
I almost would be like, you got style. If
pants,
you
I can't get bored with that. Maybe a lady could wear corduroy pants and pull them off like a fashion.
Ladies can almost get away with anything. Yeah. But we are men.
No. Yeah, it doesn't work.
Men don't get to wear just whatever.
No. I'm getting that Staying Alive song stuck in my head.
That's on my playlist. Yeah.
You see John Travolta strutting down the street.
Some 70s bell-bottom boy.
Yeah. With like platform shoes.
The BBB.
Goldfish, like glass platform shoes with goldfish swimming around inside of them.
That's the dumbest thing ever. I always thought you were going to break the shoe. Plus the fish. What are you going to... You can do that to a fish? No. I don't care. A fish to me is soulless. But still, it's alive. Yeah. You wouldn't stick a cat in there.
I don't know. I just don't want goldfish in my shoes.
Anyway. Good grief.
Yeah. So back to the toilets and stuff. So your house is looking great.
Yeah.
That's about finished up.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there thinking, how in the world did we end up down this path?
It's so easy to do.
It's so easy. Your house is looking great. It's super happy. We were having our... So we have our Bible study over there, and there for a while, we were having to, y'all had to make a little section of your bedroom
to be a spot to study,
to be a spot where we could all sit down and do, because all the rest of it,
everything else, they're banging away dust and paint particles in your lungs, breathing it in. It was not. Oh gosh, that was tough.
Because you guys got married
in June last year. Yeah.
So this is what they say. Some of the hardest times in marriage are: 1, blended families. Trying to bring together 2 blended families. 2, first year of marriage.
Yep.
And 3,
a house renovation.
Doing a house renovation.
Yep.
Y'all were doing all of that in the first year together.
And I like to think we made it look easy.
I think so. I'll give you that.
It didn't stress to me.
No, it seemed like y'all just pretty much rolled through it. I mean, I don't think y'all seemed like any different than any other marriage.
Yeah. I mean, we sure bicker. We can bicker.
Yeah, because y'all kind of the same type person. I mean, so you even have the same shape heads.
I just never like it when you say that. Poor Carrie. Poor Carrie. You want to say that.
No, you're the same type person.
You said same type head.
Shape. Definitely not look.
But the shape. She don't look like my shape of head.
Yeah. We were just talking about that the other day when I was hanging out over there.
And it was just as silly then as it is now.
I mean, y'all both have oval heads.
I think most people do.
I guess I don't know what that's like, because mine's a big round head.
So the house is almost done.
Yeah, house is almost done. So you're super happy about that.
Yep.
Well, I tell you, I went through a bit of a weekend. It was a rough weekend, and I told you a little bit about that. But cool thing, I was, and I guess this can kind of transition over, but I was kind of bummed out. Really, you know what's funny with me, Gabe? Whenever I make mistakes, or even if somebody wrongs me, if I feel like I've been wronged, and I don't handle it right, I get more upset about how I handled it than I do about the fact that the person wronged me. And then it kind of compounds.
Okay.
So I'm still a little bit frustrated about the person. And now I'm also working through, I feel like I could have handled it better. Kind of bringing on the condemnation.
You got both now to deal with rather than just one.
Compounding condemnation. Like, that is a bad deal.
You don't need that.
And so I was kind of doing that over the weekend a little bit. And I ended up watching a documentary. I was praying about it, which that's always a good thing. And so I'm sitting there kind of praying about it. And then I'm just decided I'm shutting myself off to the world over the weekend. I'm just going to, it's easy to do, especially as a single person. You know, as a married person with 50 kids, y'all have to, you got to
stay in the fight all day.
So cool thing, I think that you got to stay in the fight. Obviously, there are times for rest, deliberate rest, I think. But I think to just shut yourself down just because you feel you kind of pouting
Yeah, it's easier to do.
It's a bad idea. You kind of just end up wallowing.
Well, you don't want to pout with somebody staring at you.
Yeah.
It looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're sitting there doing nothing, and people can tell when you're in a way. So if they see you pouting and being sad, depressed, call it whatever you want, but it doesn't look good. It don't look good on anybody. But if nobody's there to see it, you could just sit and do that for a bit.
You can sit there and wallow in it. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can sure do it.
And so that's what I was doing a little bit of last weekend, and I watched this doc. So it's Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Fame, or Pro Football Hall of Fame weekend. And there's this guy, Sam Mills. And we don't have enough time to really tell his whole story, but I knew who he was because I've always been a big fan, but I didn't know who he was. And there was a documentary on him on NFL Network, and this dude, everybody talking, this dude was 5'9" tall linebacker in the NFL. That's crazy short. Yeah. And so it was insanely hard for him to get accepted into the NFL, even though he was better than most, hit harder than most, ran faster. I mean, he just was always in the right place. Amazing player. It took years for him to get in there. And then even with the shortened career, because of it taking so long for him to get in there, he ends up in the Hall of Fame. And the big reason was because the players that talked about him, other Hall of Fame players that talked about him, said they never heard him approach a situation with the attitude of can't. He never had a negative attitude. He was always kind to those around him. People just it lifted their day to be around him, and so that was kind of convicting to me. And then he had a phrase, which the Carolina Panthers now sew into their uniforms because that's who he played for. That said, "Keep pounding."
Yep.
And I mean, just since then, I mean, I've just thought
you felt that.
I do numerous times a day. I'll just think, keep pounding.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I'll thank the Lord, and I'll remember, and it just kind of helps me to recenter. Recenter and be like, okay, this isn't as big of a deal. And even if it is a big of a deal, life goes on.
Yeah.
You keep pounding. You're not going to having a negative attitude doing these types of things, which. That kind of leads into, that's why I wanted to kind of tell that story. It kind of leads into what we're talking about today, which is handling failures.
Yeah.
And there's all types of failures, Gabe. There's fried shrimp. There's coconut shrimp. Oh, wait. No, sorry. I'm getting off track there. Shrimp scampi.
Shrimp stew.
Yeah. Yes, I know that was a bad joke. I know you're sitting there listening and shaking your heads right now. That's okay.
I hope
that was
you
bad.
are.
That's why. Yeah. But there are all kinds of different failures, and they scale all the way down from, rather than turning on the light and to go to the bathroom and you end up stubbing your toe, to barking at your spouse, to walking away from your family, to murder, and now you're in prison, they really range. There's all sorts of levels of failure, to having not put in the proper preparation time to do a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so in preparing for this, Gabe, we were kind of, you and Carrie and I all kind of sat around and just talked about it. And I think this is really just more of a discussion point than a linear discussion. So let's just kind of talk through it and see.
What does that mean, linear?
Kind of a rather than
structured.
Structured and
okay.
What's a diagram? God, what's the outline?
Outline.
Good.
Okay.
I can't get the word in my head yet.
Okay.
Rather than outline. So I know. Let's just start from right there. I know whenever over the weekend. And it doesn't happen to me often, but being single most of my life, for me, from my viewpoint, it's so easy. And I've talked about my 30s and 20s a little bit, and I've kind of grown out of it over time. But it's just like you were saying a little bit ago, it's the easiest thing in the world as a single person to isolate. And I want to kind of hear about how how you, whenever you approach the different failures or different things like that happen to you from your perspective as non-single and living with people. But for me, so I just kind of shut myself down. I beat myself up a little bit.
Let Satan work on you a little bit.
Yeah. And joy does come with the morning. So a lot of the times I know I just have to make it in the morning.
Yeah. Yes. But you're wise to know that.
Yeah. But that's from being in my 40s.
Right.
That's from going through the 20s and 30s and realizing that, having those horrible thoughts. And, you know, thankfully I lived long enough to realize, okay.
No, I'm going to wake up tomorrow.
Yes.
And I'm going to actually feel better.
Yeah.
Than I do right now.
Yeah.
Boy, the nighttime, Satan, that is his playground. Mm-hmm. I have experienced so much fear and doubt at night, the late hours, than I ever do in the daytime. For some reason, I just don't struggle that hard in the day, historically in my life, as I do at night. Mm-hmm. He seems to have free access to not free access, but just a little more access to my silly emotions.
Yeah.
And the thoughts cross my mind of this and that, of all sorts of failure at night. But joy does come in the morning. But you're far enough down the road now that you know that. So you get to go, all right, I'm going to feel like crap right now, but I'm going to wake up in the morning, and God is going to do a different thing, and it is going to be a new day.
So I think that's the first thing to realize in any moment when addressing failure is, hey, even if all today stinks, there is always tomorrow, or unless the Lord chooses to take you home at night. But odds are I've got tomorrow morning.
It's in your favor.
It's not a bad thing to just take a step back.
Yeah.
And say, okay. But then what do you think? I mean, do you think sitting around, kind of lounging out, chilling, watching TV, kind of numb your mind, or diving into the scripture, going out, hanging out with friends, maybe trying, especially as a single person, not to isolate yourself,
being fully aware.
Which I did do over the weekend.
Yeah.
I just kind of, Saturday, I just was kind of bummed about the way some things had gone, and had plans for the evening and canceled those and just said, I'm going to kick it at home. And then Sunday I worked through it. And I'm not even saying that's necessarily wrong, but I think the quicker you can address it and put it in its proper place, sometimes we do need a time to recover, but I think
the shelf life would be shorter the sooner you address it.
That's it. The sooner you recognize it for what it is. And having, like I say, for me, the idea is keep pounding. No matter what I'm working on, no matter what I'm doing, no matter what mistakes I make, no matter how someone does me wrong.
Yeah.
Or no matter if I feel like someone did me wrong and then they didn't. I'm going to keep pounding, which to me means keeping myself in check, keeping myself centered and focused on God, focused on how I'm representing Him in that moment as I walk through this little hardship or large hardship. And like you say, the sooner you can bring that into focus, into check, then you can address it with the person on a much more even keel. Or you can address it with yourself, but you can take it to God. Because the thing is, and this is, brother, something that I have to remind myself of all the time, is that you are going to fail. That is the thing. It's going to happen. Whether it's intentional, whether it was an intentional, a deliberate thought out, or just an accident, and it's just because you were unprepared, whatever the case may be, it's going to happen.
Well, failure's a special brand of hurt. It's not like, somebody did something to you. There's all kinds of ways of hurt in life. And a lot of them are what somebody did to you. And when I experience pains, a lot of them, I'm like, they're things that were done to me in my time here. Mm-hmm. And I'm going, man, that was so unfair. Mm-hmm. But failure, that's why I say it's a special brand of hurt, because it means you asserted yourself toward a goal and missed. And so it just points the finger right back at yourself, right? That hurts. That's hard, because you go, I tried and I didn't do good.
Yeah, so you feel I did shame.
I did a bad job, and I'm a loser. I can't seem to get it right, especially if it's a repeat failure. And you feel that sense of, well, why should I keep on trying if I can't do it? And it hurts to know, well, in your heart, you're just saying, I don't think I can do it. And then, for me personally, I have to watch Rocky IV mm-hmm. and go, yeah, you don't quit. You never, never, never quit. But sometimes I just don't think about that. And I just go, I'm not ever going to be what I want to be at my work or drumming, which mm-hmm. I used to love to drum a lot. And, or I'm never going to be married. That was on my mind for a long, mm-hmm. long time. Mm-hmm. And so I would try to get a date. I would try to be a cool dude, hoping something. It's just how it works. Mm-hmm. You got to be a mean guy. I'm like, well, shoot, I don't even know how to be a mean dude. So I have no clue how to get where I'm trying to go here. And it felt personally rejecting of myself.
It's a type of losing hope if not handling correctly.
There's a hopelessness in there with failure.
And with failure, I think the more emphasis you put on how others perceive you, the more strength it gives to failure to beat you down.
Oh, yeah.
And not that, it's so funny. That's kind of a funny thing that I've wrestled with over years is not, I want to care about what people think, but I don't want to care about what people think.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Secretly.
Because you want to care about the person. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to be arrogant in thinking that someone can't speak into your life because you don't care what they think, right? Mm-hmm. That's not the point you want to get to. That's anti-biblical, but their words should never carry more weight than the Word of God.
Which we decided.
Or their opinions.
In talking.
Or your perceived opinions.
Right.
Go ahead.
In talking, the three of us, you, Carrie, and I, we did kind of come to the conclusion that was the way to combat a continuous cycle of failure. And what did we say here? Let me find it. Bear with me. Yeah. You would combat failure with the truth. Mm-hmm. The Lord hasn't given me a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and sound mind. Right?
So if that's not what you're experiencing, then you can recognize. And so for me, the little trigger words that I use are keep pounding. But that is ultimately what it leads me to thinking about is, wait a minute, no, this is not what God has for me. This is not how he would have me to be handling this situation. And it slams me right back into gear.
The truth.
Just finding those words. And I'm not saying keep pounding is the words for everybody. It is for me just because that spoke mm-hmm. to me in that moment. Mm-hmm. But like you say, maybe it's power, love, sound mind. Those could be trigger words.
Sound mind.
Think about that. Think about that. You're going through a moment. You're having a trigger point. You're being triggered. And you answer that trigger point with power, love, sound mind. Mm-hmm.
It's going to shorten the shelf life, isn't it?
Yeah.
That Satan has planned to bring you down just for a certain period of time He's going to stretch out as long as he can. Our job as a Christian who walks in faith and in love and in discipline is going to be to shorten the shelf life of what Satan does to us. What his plan is. He's going to constantly have that shelf life designed for us. And we have to recognize it sooner than later as we get older and wiser and speak truth.
You know, I kind of think of there's this movie. You remember that movie Gladiator a long time ago?
How could I forget?
The boxing movie and
that Gladiator.
Yeah.
That one's
I know
good
everybody
too.
thinks
Most people,
right.
Russell Crowe,
not the Gladiator, but just Gladiator.
You think of Russell Crowe, but then the
no, this one's from I think the early '90s. And so Brian Dennehy's, of course, the bad guy. He's one of the greatest bad guys ever.
Yeah.
And this young boxer is having to fight him. They're both boxers, but Dennehy's kind of the head of this
little
underground boxing organization. Well, they end up fighting each other. And Dennehy's pounding this dude, right? I mean, just beating him senseless.
Oh, yeah. Poor little guy.
And all of a sudden, the dude's his face is torn up, all this stuff. And then he just whips into focus, comes back, and his eyes open up. And you can tell it's game time.
Yeah.
That's kind of that's almost the visual that I get in my head.
That was such a cheesy scene as I think about it.
Yeah, but
it was really cool.
Still so good.
It was so good.
But that's the visual that I kind of get in my head whenever I think keep pounding. Almost like it wakes me up. Yeah. Like getting that smelling salt under your nose. Wait, what are you doing here?
Wake up, man.
Snap to it.
Yep.
And for me, those words, but same thing. Power, love, sound mind. Power, love, sound mind.
Yep.
You know, like taking that smelling salt and sticking it right under your nose and saying, no, God has not given me a spirit of fear.
Yeah.
Which is ultimately no one's knocking on the door. We're in the living room doing the podcast today.
Henry was pounding the table.
I was pounding the table.
With what'd you call it?
Big
Keep pounding.
Fingers. Yeah, that's right.
Keep on pounding.
Keep pounding.
Jeez. I wonder what that'll sound like later.
We'll find out.
I know.
But it's a smelling salt of sort. And like you were saying earlier,
the truth is right.
The truth shall set you free, right?
It'll set you free.
Yes, the truth will set you free. So addressing that, recognizing it, disciplining ourselves not to sit there and wallow in it.
In failure, yeah.
That's been my focus all week. So I think this is a timely topic.
In your life.
Yeah. I mean, it is, you always want to be growing. But sometimes, especially when we get later in life, it's easy to think, well, I've been this way my whole life, or I've handled this failure my whole life this way. So it's too late. Like it's already ingrained. It's already built in. As long as we're still breathing.
It's not too late.
It's not too late.
And you know what I love about cliche talk? Is when I hit the point in my life where I was going, boy, that sounds so cliche. I was like, okay, I'm going to try to avoid saying that. But that was stupid because cliche talk is that for a reason. That's why it stands the test of time. It goes on and on. People keep saying it. Well, because there's truth in it. There's real truth in that cliche talk that can start to go, well, it just feels like old hat. But it's like, no, that's real. And you do. You go through these things where life feels a little cliche, but it's like, no, there's wisdom in that to say, all right, keep pounding. Keep pounding eventually could sound cliche, but the truth is it means keep your chin up. Keep on seeking and you will find. Ask and it will be given, and knock and the door will be opened. You hear those things, they're all over the place, but it's important to do. Seeking, you're going to find that. Don't let yourself get sucked into that black hole of failure. And we always try to remember failure is a part of success, right?
Yes.
That's cliche-y, but it is.
Yeah.
Failure is not necessarily bad. And here's another cliche for it. You're not a failure until you stop trying. Right? Have you heard that?
Yeah. Because you're still in the race. You're still running. I'm looking something up that I want to read on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you
thought I was responding to a text, didn't you?
Heck yeah, I did. I was like,
why you think that?
I'm going to slap that phone right out of your hand. But since you're looking.
Well, this popped into my head.
We'll let it go.
It was by Samuel Beckett. I don't know who he is, but I just want to make sure he gets credit. I think he's an author maybe or something. Anyway. Ever tried, ever failed. No matter, try again, fail better.
Ew. Yeah.
I like that saying.
Yeah. We hear about the light bulb. You know, Thomas Edison making the light bulb. It took 1,000 tries or 10,000 or whatever it was.
I think he said,
10 billion, might as well have been.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh, man. And all of a sudden, finally, the thing happens, and now we all have it all around us. I love that one because it just means. And he even said, no, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 ways that it didn't work. It's perspective. But
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You tie that into what we as Christians do in the Bible, and you look at all of the opposition that came against Jesus in his life. I mean, he was up against people the whole way through. They were constantly coming against him. And it would be, he had to run away to not be killed. Man, your distractions on your side of the table are... He had to run away from things, try to not get killed sometimes, and ultimately stand up against death. And it was just so good. He just never stopped doing his Father's work, which... If you try to be in a slump of failure and say the words at the same time, I'm about my Father's work, you can't do it. Try doing that. Try being in that mode of where Satan's got you and he's wanting to steal a weekend from you and say, I have to be about my Father's work. They don't go together. They won't go. Depression, it can't stand up against that. I have to be about my Father's work.
But you got to say it. You got to believe it.
You got to say it. Yeah,
you got to believe it.
Keep pounding.
You're like, I got to be my Father's work. That didn't work. That's stupid. NFL. Yeah.
Yeah, right. There's something else going on.
Stupid. That didn't work. Soap opera.
Yeah.
You have to say it louder than whatever it is that you turn to normally. You have to trust it, believe it.
But it's kind of like
power,
smiling.
love, sound mind. Power, love, sound mind.
Can you smile and be sad? It's almost impossible. Even if it's a fake smile. It's hard.
Yeah.
It changes. If you smile, it's going to put you in a different thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Think about this, Gabe. How many heroes do you think there are in the Bible?
In the Bible? How many heroes?
Let's just make a guesstimation.
If I had to guess, let's just call it 300.
Oh, yeah, 300. Yeah, because 100 seems short.
Yeah, it does.
But you don't want to get carried away with it.
Let's not get crazy, but it's probably
let's say 300-ish.
300 would be a kind of a lot, maybe.
Yeah, maybe a lot. 200? Meet in the middle?
200.
All right, let's just say 200.
Good compromise.
Yeah. So 200 heroes in the Bible.
Okay.
Out of all those heroes, there's only one that did not fail.
No, I love it, though.
There's only one that didn't.
That's right.
And that's the one we lead to, because we know we will fail. But the point being, all these men and women that God used in his word as examples to us,
you're preaching, man,
failed.
Preach it.
Repeatedly. And the one that was a man after God's own heart failed the worst. Oh, it was so bad. David. Woo.
No, I know.
I mean, can you imagine? I mean, look at, say David was the president of the United States right now doing that stuff. and we found out, oh, wait a minute, he went and found one of his soldiers' wives and had relations with her and got her pregnant. Mm-hmm. And then, like, again, envisioning that he's the president.
Yeah.
And then had him sent off to the front lines and killed because he wouldn't go in because he was too committed to his men to go in and be with his wife when they tried to bring him home, make it look like it was his baby.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Oh, it's so bad.
Terrible.
It's so bad. Like, look at all the Clinton stuff. How big all that scandal was. And there wasn't anybody even getting executed and, sent to the front lines and the Lewinsky stuff.
Okay.
Think about how big that all blew up. Right? I mean, that was huge. They still use sound bites from it today. I did not have relations, and all that kind of stuff.
You can hear his voice. He is so stuck in my mind.
I did, in fact, have relations.
Those relations.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody.
But, look how big that blew. That thing was huge. I was young then. And
yeah, you still remember it. Yeah.
I still remember it clear as day.
Yeah.
Imagine if David, but this man is a biblical hero.
Which one are we talking about?
King David.
King David, yeah.
But talking about any of them, the disciples failed repeatedly.
Yeah.
To think that we're not going to fail is setting ourselves up for failure in and of itself.
Yes, it is. I would agree.
Because then when we get hit with that failure, when we do fail,
Shocking.
it's going to be like a sucker punch. Now, to expect it, to understand it, to learn from it, to learn better. Again, like that saying, try again, fell better.
Mm-hmm.
Be better at it, to grow. We have the opportunity either to grow or to essentially die from it.
So you're saying, like, take the drama out of failing. Like,
yeah, don't give it power that's not its. I guess the only failure, which I know this is one where I'm talking a lot. I guess it's because I'm working through it a lot. But
I love it. Go ahead.
But failure only has the strength that we give it.
Yeah, that's right.
That's it.
Yeah.
So if we can recognize that in the moment, then we can make the choice to give it no strength. Mm-hmm. Power, love, sound mind.
It's very hard because you don't have an answer. That's the problem with failure. That's the challenge of it is, well, I don't have an answer. I like to have an answer. Me personally, I'm always about an answer. How do we solve this thing? Okay, so something's not right. How do we fix it? Mm-hmm. If someone's hurting, how can I help? We had a good friend of ours, Carolyn, go through something hard, and yesterday was tough on her. Mm-hmm. There was a financial challenge for her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to solve that problem. I just want to give her money. But I was like, shoot, man, I ain't got that much money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you did because you care. Mm-hmm. And so I felt a little demoralized for her. I was like, my friend. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I don't want you to be sad. Oh, she was crying. I was like, I can't take this. What could I do?
Her boyfriend was hot.
He got hot mad, didn't he? So I stood up. I went around the desk.
You don't want this country boy to come to the city to that mechanic shop.
Yeah, which I'll always love that saying. So you don't want this country boy coming to the city. I was like, get it, son. She was getting jerked around by some people, but all I could do was get up and give her a hug and say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But I hate not having an answer. And that's the thing about failure is we don't have an answer. Mm-hmm. It feels so unfair. It's like,
but we do have an answer.
No. God has an answer.
Yeah. That's right.
We personally can't think of the answer sometimes.
Maybe not to the situation, but we can have the answer to how we respond to it.
Well, you can respond correctly, but doesn't mean it's a solution and going to make the problem just go away.
But it makes
the hard. But
it's almost like you fail, and then you fail to respond properly.
Oh yeah,
so that's kind of what I was talking about. The compounding.
No, right earlier.
You know what I'm saying? I know that's not what you're saying, but I'm saying that's where I'm just kind of working through it. Like, that's where the compounding part happens.
That's where your compounding thing is. Yep, all of ours.
The failure part does come from thinking you don't have an answer for it.
Well, you don't have an answer, or else
you haven't had an answer the last 100 times, or you didn't use the right answer, even though you knew the right answer.
Oh, that's really hard. That's another topic. Yeah, another type of failure to be stuck with.
You knew it, didn't do it. 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 And then you're like, you know what? I'm 46 and I'm just an idiot.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. And then
it's even more. So you're failing to respond properly in that moment. Whereas if you just say, okay.
Yeah.
Here I go again, not on my own.
That's right.
You know?
Well, that's the whole thing in life anyway, period, is that how quickly do we turn our sight to God and go, wait a minute, He's in control. He's in charge. Is it within seconds of a challenge, or is it within minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, or years? Mm-hmm. How quick are we to turn straight to Him and go, ooh, Jesus, be with me. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm walking through the valley of the shadow of death right now. Mm-hmm. I don't have an answer, and I'm in trouble. Or my friend is in trouble. My friend doesn't know who you are, God. Please send somebody to show him or give me the words. I want to pray for her, his or her salvation, you know, whatever. How quick are we to turn and put Jesus right there in the middle of it? The answer to that is going to really determine the path of your life.
You know, you think about if you compare it to a UFC fight.
Okay.
When you catch that punch.
I love how your mind works.
When you catch that punch and you hit the mat, if you stay down on that mat for too long, what's going to happen?
Game over.
TKO or knockout.
Yep.
You're either going to get technical knockout or knockout. They're going to punch you and kick you so many times.
Yep.
They're going to get behind you and choke you out. And it's going to be lights out. So what's the fighter generally trying to do the second they hit? They're trying to get up fast.
Yeah.
And if you lay there, it's over.
Detrimental to your body.
The odds of recovering from that fight are over.
But I love your, what is that, analogy? Mm-hmm. I love that because if you think about it, doesn't the fighter have to exercise and practice and train a tons for the fight?
Leading up to it.
Here we go.
Right.
You got to do that.
That's a great point because you have to be prepared. That's a great point. They are prepared for the fact that they're very likely going to get knocked down.
That's right. They know that.
The greatest fighters in the world.
What do I do when I get knocked down?
I remember for the longest time, I can't remember how long the streak was for John Jones, that he did not get knocked down.
Yeah, it was a while.
You couldn't take him down. It was insane. The best wrestlers couldn't take him down. One day, guess what happened? He hit the mat. He hit the mat. It's going to happen even to the greatest.
Yeah, but I don't think he was down for long.
Right.
Which is interesting.
He came up quick. He ended up winning it and all that.
Yeah.
But he trained. He prepared for it. And we have got to train and prepare for the failures. Expect them to come. Go into the matches and the battles.
Yes.
Knowing that the failures are going to come. We're going to hit the mat.
Yep.
It's how I think of... Was it? I think it was Rocky 3 where he got hit, kind of spun around, kind of buckled down, and immediately just sprung back up. Maybe it was 4. It was 4. It was 4 against the Russian. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hit, spun around, his legs kind of twisted, and he started to drop a little bit, and he just spun around and came right back up. Boom.
This is from wisdom or experience of life. This is from failures already. He had already failed many times by that point, and also been victorious many times. There was. I'll just share a thing that was a personal experience. Yeah. With that was suggested to be brought up. Carrie loved it, and she was like, "That's failure right there." Here a few years ago, I was in a lot of therapy with my counselor, Tammy, and the first either the first or the second session, we went over the subject of, she gave me these few papers and said that there was a bunch of words on them that said, what do you relate to most of these words? And they were all words that were not good. Words like a failure was in there, and angry, or sad, or depressed, and all the words. Man, I went through all the words, and she's like, circle the 3 that matter the most, or whatever, or that you feel connected with the most. The word that I came across after going through them, I came across one word, and it summed it all up for me. And the word was defective, because everything about my life felt, brother, like it was like I didn't fit in with others at all. And it made me feel defective. Like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong that I am so dadgum different from all the people around me? And it was miserable for years. And it finally culminated in, I had a failed marriage, and that didn't help the feeling at all. I was like, well, maybe if I was more that tougher guy or that meaner guy, maybe my marriage would have been easier, because she might have taken it different. And of course, I knew that was silly. That's not Christ-like. So I knew that was silly, but a part of me wondered. And so when I came across that word defective, for all the things in my entire life at that point, I just felt like my wires were crossed wrong. Well, we ended up working through it, and what I ultimately came to the realization was, Gabe, you're uniquely made. You're not supposed to look like everybody else, and they're not supposed to look like each other too either. We all seem to find it easiest to do that, but that's not what you are. And so that feeling of failure was ultimately crushed in me, because it took the time to realize I'm uniquely made, and I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, you're created to be who God created you to be, and to do what God created you to do.
Yeah.
Not to do what God created
you
to do. Not what God created Carrie to do. Not what God created me to do.
I'm not y'all.
And when you're comparing yourself to others, and that's a good point, to their places in life, to their achievements, their successes, which again, and that's another good point, if you're looking at other people's successes, you're only seeing what they want you to see.
Sure.
They're not throwing their failures out there for the whole world to see, because they're not on a podcast like we are, where we do that all the time.
Yeah.
They're not, people in general, especially in the age of social media, are not like, hey guys, check out my failure. What do you think? How many likes can I get off this?
Today's my worst.
Yeah. No, they're putting out their best show.
Sure.
People get prepped up to go, I think back in the days of, let's say, family pictures. Do you go there looking your worst?
No way.
No. Why? What? You want to show these pictures to people, right? You want people to see these pictures. You want them to see you at your best.
Yeah.
That's the truth when you're in public, too. People are generally putting on their best image depending on the crowd that they're around. So we're not going to see everything. We're not going to see their failures unless we're really close to them. The closer you get somebody, the more you see their failures.
Yeah.
The more they're real with you, they open up to you. We all have our different failures. The most successful person you see in your life, whoever's sitting here listening to this show right now, think of the most successful person you know in your life, and you may or may not be close enough to them to know what their failures are, but I promise you they have them. Because again, of the quote-unquote 200 heroes in the Bible, all but one failed.
Yeah.
And guess what? We're not told to lean on any of those.
That's right.
We're told only to lean on the one.
Yes.
Why? Because God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son.
Only. Oh, that's good.
That whosoever believed in him would not perish. Talking about hope, but have everlasting life.
Mm-hmm. Stand on that.
That's the only one we can stand on. We stand on him. Faith, hope, and love. The greatest of these is love. Embrace the love. Philippians 4.
Yeah.
All things positive. Think on these things. Right?
Dude, I want to roar right now.
I mean,
right into this mic.
We've got to train. We've got to train. Like he said earlier, we've got to train ourselves to, I'm brain farting. What were the 3 words that we were talking about a little bit ago?
The Lord has not given me a spirit of fear, but of love.
Thank you. Power, love, sound mind. Thank you. Yes. Power, love, sound mind. Power, love, sound mind. Power, love, sound mind.
Yep.
In the moment. For me, that's what those words keep pounding.
Yep.
Mean.
Yep.
Get up.
Let's go.
Look up. Don't ever give up. Keep pounding.
Y'all heard that.
You heard that.
That one was me.
That wasn't us hitting the mat.
I was pounding the table. Boom.
Well, that was good stuff.
Yeah.
Guys, we're about to say a quick prayer. I do want to remind you, Miles Barfield asked me to remind you to please like us and follow us on iTunes, on Amazon, on Spotify, Podbean. Like us, follow us, rate us, and leave a comment. Be truthful about it. Let us know what you think.
The truth.
But it'll help us to get the show to appear more in the algorithms and to show up in the search engines better and all that good kind of stuff. So if you would do that and then share us on social media, we would sure appreciate it. Let's pray, Gabe.
Let's do it.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day that you've blessed us with. God, we thank you that you have given us not a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Please help us to recover from our failures quickly, and please help us to learn from them when we do, so that we can better represent you. Lord God, we love you. We worship you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Go ye into all the world
and preach the gospel. With somebody staring at you.